Hi guys, bonjour, hola, my name is Trish. If you're new, welcome. In today's lesson, I am going to bring you a part 2 of our Photoshop beginner series. And if you missed the first one, I'm going to put the link to that right there so that you can go and watch it. And if you're new on this channel and looking to advance in Photoshop, please hit the subscribe button and join the family of learners. Shall we begin? So if you're new to Photoshop, don't worry. By the time we finish, you will learn how to take a blank image like this and turn it into something interesting like this. Also, you're going to learn about the content aware tool, which basically helps you to take out anything in Photoshop. Also, how to take out acne and so much more. So the first thing you need to know is what software I use. I use Adobe Photoshop 2021. You can see that at the top of my screen. If you want to purchase this version, you go to Adobe and you want to click on Creative and Design and choose View All Plans. Now, there are a couple of options, but what I use is the Lightroom and Photoshop, which is just $9.99 a month. Now you can go ahead and choose the individual, but then again, why pay for more when you can pay for less and get the two? So if you want to use my version, this is it. And also I use a MacBook, so you will hear me using shortcuts which are equivalent to the Windows, so just bear that in mind. Now we're going to go back into Photoshop. So the first thing you notice when you bring in an image is that it comes in locked. So you want to first of all unlock it so you can begin to edit that file. So we're going to click on this and you can go under your property and click on remove background and Photoshop will take it off for you. And that is in the newer versions. But if you have an older version, then you will have to use your quick selection tool, which acts the same as your quick action. But for this purposes, what I want to do is that I want to go ahead and check selection tool. And that is also in, I believe, 2020 and 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So you are going to click on object selection and we are just going to draw a box around our subject like that. And Photoshop quickly creates an outline. Now, this is also achieved when you click on select subject. It does the same thing. So now that we have our subject selected, we want to basically get rid of the background. So we are going to use a layer mask. Now, a layer mask basically hides or reveals. So we're going to click on that. When you come under your layers panel, you see the layer mask icon. So click on that and it basically takes off the background for you. Now, if we want to go ahead and add a background, the easiest way is to go under your adjustment and we can basically choose a solid color. Now, we are going to choose a red. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and move this layer on the bottom. So we have this. If I want to go ahead and change the color of her sweater as well as the head wrap, I can do that easily. And this is how we go about doing it. So you want to go back and click on your object selection tool and you want to just draw a box around the sweater. And you notice that it quickly just picks that section for you. Now I know you have the question, what if it picks more than just that particular section? And I will demonstrate that when we get to the head wrap. So with this selection made, all you want to do is make sure you are on the subject layer and we are going to go to our adjustment and add a hue saturation. Whenever you apply a layers adjustment and you don't want it to be applied to all the different layers, just the layer right beneath, you have to clip it. So you can right click and you can basically click on create clipping mask, or you can hold down. I'm going to do Command Z to go back, or you can hold down options and then your arrow is then activated. Your mouse is then activated with a down arrow. click between the two lines. Now, all the changes you make will only be applied to the layer right beneath. So we can go ahead in our hue and then begin to change our color. So we have something like this. You can change it to whatever color you want. It can be blue, purple, whatever. Now, if we want to change the head wrap, we can use the same technique. So you want to click on that layer. You want to click on the image layer, still using your object selection tool. We're going to make a selection around the head, and notice that this time it didn't only grab the head wrap but also the face. Now we don't want to add the face, so we're going to click under the options under our menu bar, and we want to make sure that we choose subtract from selection, and we are just going to go ahead and do this. And you might have to do it a couple of times to completely get rid of anything that you don't need. So I'm just going to do that. And basically I only have the head wrap now selected. So to change the head wrap color, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a solid color. So I'm going to go to my adjustment, add a solid color, and I'm going to choose something like a blue. I'm going to choose a bluish color. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So we're going to go ahead and change the blend mode to color burn. So now that we have this, now if I want to change the head wrap into a different color, I can double click on my color thumbnail and I can choose whatever color I want. And notice how quickly it changes it all up for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep it on this blue. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to click OK. So with this set for us, we want to go ahead and change up the background. Apart from having a solid color, you can also add a gradient. So we're going to go to adjustment and we're going to click on gradient. Now you can go ahead and just apply this black gradient, and notice that my gradient is from a solid color, a transparent color. So you can just click OK. If you want your color to actually be behind your subject, all you have to do is in your layers panel, move that layer below your subject layer. So now you have your gradient in the background and your subject in the foreground. Now, if we want to change up the color of our gradient, yes, you can. Double click on the thumbnail of your gradient. Now you can click on your gradient tool. It opens up more options. We can go ahead and click in the purple or even in the blue. You can click in the blue. Just change up the blue and you notice what it does. It gives you a very nice color. If you want to go ahead and choose even multiple, you can choose this color. Or if you want, you can go down even into the reds and you can even choose this color. Now, what if you have a nice gradient tone, but you wish that the colors were different? You can change it up. So you can click on any of these color stops. Let's say we want to change the middle one. You can click on your color stop. Now the color change option is activated. You can click on that color and you can change it to whatever color you want in the middle. You can do that and it will basically change it up for you. So you are not bound to just the default gradient color option. You can change it up. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel because I want us to keep with this. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK and also click OK to come out of this. So if you want to go ahead and add a text, click on your type tool and then click on your horizontal. We'll go ahead and just type in, but it seems like our font is too small. So we can go ahead and increase it and we can double click and then we can retype in beauty. You can go ahead and highlight and change the font to whatever option you want. You can also go ahead and change the size if you want to. You can change it to small or big. Now, if you want your font bigger than what you see, you can click on your move tool. Scale is activated and you can go ahead and scale it. Now, if your scale is not activated, all you have to do is press Control T, activate it, or you can go to edit and click on transform and click on scale, and it will do the same thing. So now we can set our text above here. Now, if I want to create an outline text of the same font, but take out the solid color and just keep the outline, you can easily do that by making a copy. So Command J, make a copy of your text layer, pull this text down. And what we're going to do is that you want to take down the fill of your text so it basically disappears. And you want to right click and convert this to a shape. Now, once you convert to a shape, you basically see the outline of your font, but you don't see the color. So for you to see the color, you need to click on your path selection tool. Now, it gives you the option above to either create a fill or just a stroke around your text. And in this case, we just want a stroke. So we're going to click on white and we are going to increase the pixel so that we can see the outline of our font. And you can make it bigger to make it more bolder, or you can keep it thin. So I'm just going to keep it somewhere in the middle like that. And I'm just going to come out of that. Now, with this set, you can also add a little bit of a shadow effect to bump up your design. So you can go ahead and double click on the right hand side of that layer in the layers panel. Now the layer style comes up, so we can quickly add just a drop shadow, and you can click on your drop shadow for all the other options. And if you want to increase your shadow, you can increase it like that. As you can see, if you want the size to be bigger, to blur it out in terms of the shadow, you can do that. You can play with your spread as well. If you don't want that, you can take all of this back. Now, if you want your shadow effect, but you don't want it to be so black, you can reduce your opacity, and that basically reduces the intensity of your shadow. Now I can take this all the way back. So I have my shadow effect, but it's not too much. If I want it to be black, I can take it all the way for the opacity. So I'm just going to keep it midway. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and come out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on this image that we have. So to get rid of the black background and only keep the white, we have to do that with the blending mode option. So you want to change this background to lighten color. Now, when you do that, you notice that it basically takes off the background for you, and this can just go anywhere. We can even set it right there, and you basically don't see anything in terms of the black. So I'm going to go ahead and set it somewhere here. Now, what if you have a white background with a black logo? So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and I'm going to go ahead and scale it like this. I'm going to double click on it. So if you want to get rid of the white background, you want to go to your blend mode and you want to use multiply. Now multiply basically gets rid of anything that is white. I can move this all the way up, and you notice that you don't see any sign of your white background showing. So I'm going to go ahead and scale it a little bit, and I'm going to set it right there. I'm going to double click and set it right there. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is how you can add shapes. Now, the shape option is located between the path selection tool and your hand tool. So you notice that there's a little drop down and it gives you so many different options that you can use. So if I pick my rectangular, I can just go ahead and draw a rectangle like this. Now what happens is that your rectangle, even though it's showing, it has no color. So if you come into your property or at the menu options at the top, you can go ahead and add a fill color. So I'm going to choose a white. And also if you want to add a trim, you can do that, which is a stroke effect. So if you click on your stroke and you add a blue, you can even increase that a little so you can see it a little bit more, and you can just come out of this and this is what you have. Now, if you don't want any stroke effect, you can go back into your property and basically click on the box with the red strike and it will take out any color. So if you want to create duplicate, you can just do Command J, make a duplicate, pull that down, and then hold down Shift. You can scale it down if you want, and we can move that up, double click. Now, if your shape is showing on top of your subject, it means that your layer is somewhere at the very top, so it's lying on top of your subject. So to make sure that your shape is in the background, all you have to do is that move that layer below the image layer and you have it in the back. Now, if we want to go ahead and add one more shape, we can go ahead and pick our tool. We can pick our rectangle tool and we can draw another line and Command D, and we can just deselect, and there you have it. Now you can also have a rounded rectangle. So if you click on that, you see that that option is made available for you. Now with the older version of Photoshop, you will have to come into your properties and play with the roundness of your corners. If we do it 330, it will change it for all three. So you notice that the outline, the corners are curved more. And if you want to just curve one corner, all you need to do is uncheck or click on the link together for it to unlink. And now if I change just one, I make it 0, you notice that only one end is straight and all three are. So to be able to click back on the shape, click on the layer in your layers panel, turn it back on. Now we can go ahead and add a color to fill it up. And when we come out of it, this is basically what you get. So there's so much that you can do with shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and scale it down a little, and I'm going to set it somewhere here. So we're going to do something like this, and I'm going to click on this shape and we're going to take it below our subject so we have this effect. Now the other thing is, what if you want to add a star? Because when you look under the shapes, you don't see a star, but you see a polygon. So with our polygon selected, I can go ahead and just draw this, and obviously I can make it smaller and just have it all over. Now if I want to change this, or maybe I can even make this one with a color, and there we have it. So we have some solid and we have some with just the outline. Now if we want to add a star, all we need to do is that with your shape activated, you want to go under your settings and you want to change your star radius to 50. Now when you change it to 50 and you come out of it, we can go ahead and draw and it will give us a star, and we can go ahead and fill that in like that. Now what if I don't want a 5-star? I want maybe a 10-star. You want to come up to your size options. Let's say we want to do 20, or let me take it to 15. Now if we go ahead and draw this, this is basically what you will get. So there are so many different options that are available to you that you can use under the shapes. Now, the other thing that you can do to your image is that if I want to maybe darken my image a little or add some contrast, you can click on your image, go under adjustment and add a curve adjustment. Now you realize that in your property, you have the curve adjustment option that you can manipulate. So you can go ahead and just play with the curve and notice that it begins to add some level of contrast to our image. You can brighten it a little or make it a little bit darker. You can just play with it, but you have to be careful so you don't overdo it. Now, if you mess it up, you can easily redo and then you can go back and gradually play with your settings and get it to the way you like it. Now, if you don't want this, all you need to do is turn off the visibility and those settings or those effects just goes away. But we can add it to it if we want. Now, if you want to add it, but maybe you feel it's too dark, you can still play with your opacity so you have the effect, but it's still not too much. So with this said, I want to go ahead and also show you how you can increase your workspace. So let's say that we want to make more room on this canvas. We can go ahead and pick our crop tool and we're just going to go ahead and open up our workspace, double click to accept. Now the problem is we have a void. So to fill this in, you want to pick your rectangular marquee tool, make a selection of the area that is blank, right click, choose content aware. Now Photoshop will use a very smart technique to basically fill this in. Command D to deselect and everything looks very smoothly filled in. So once you have it filled in, you have to hold down Shift and merge both layers. So right click and merge both layers. Now, if you want to create almost like a duplicate of the subject, you can do that as long as the background is similar. It makes it easier, but when you have a busy background, it makes it very complex to basically replicate the same image that you have. So we're going to go under the clone stamp tool and I'm going to hold down options. You want to make sure that your layer is selected, hold down options, make a selection anywhere in your image. Now we want to make a duplicate of the same image. So I'm going to set this somewhere here and I'm going to begin to paint, and notice that as I'm painting, you see the cross cursor is basically almost like it's scanning whatever it sees and it's just painting that in. Now, the other thing is, what if you want to create a clone, but maybe in a different size? Go ahead again and hold down Shift, select the option that I want. Now I want to set this here, but now this time I want to have a smaller version of our subject. So once you've made your selection, you want to click anywhere to see a bit of your subject, hold down options, Shift, and then using your right or left bracket, you can make your subject bigger or smaller. In this case, we want to do smaller. So we are going to use our left bracket to make our subject much smaller. And you can see that as I pen over, you can see that the subject looks even way smaller. And we can keep making it smaller and smaller. So now if I come here and I begin to paint, you can see that I have a copy of my subject, but I can reduce my brush head so I don't brush over my other subject. So it looks very good. So you have a big one and you have a small one. So guys, this is how you use the clone stamp tool. So you can basically create multiples as long as you have the same background. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how to take anything out of your image. So we are going to pick our lasso tool and we want to get rid of these two and leave just the guys on the left. So we're going to go ahead and just do a quick trace over these, and I'm just going to close it off. Now you want to right click and click on content aware, and Photoshop will basically take that out. Command D to deselect, and basically everything is gone. There is no patching that is even needed. But what if you take out a subject and you still need to patch? You can easily do that. So I'm going to show you another way that you can take off a subject and also patch it. So if we use our lasso tool and we get rid of, or we make a selection, let's make a selection with the bottle, and when it comes close here, you just have to be careful not to cut off the other subject. So now that we have this, we are going to right click and choose content aware. Now Photoshop will do its best to take it out. We're going to click OK and press Command D. Now you notice that there are still some imperfection that we need to get rid of. So before we do anything, we want to first of all merge these two layers. Hold down Shift, select the other image, select the other layer, and then merge layers. Now we need to pick up our clone stamp tool, hold down Shift, and make a selection. But we want to first of all increase this, and we want to bring that close and paint over this area. Now we can go down, it gets a better selection. Reduce our brush head by pressing down our left bracket, hold down and make another selection. Reduce your brush head, and we can easily clean up this area. We have problems here as well, so you can make a selection, hold down and pick an area that you want to fill it in with. If it's not a good option, you can go ahead and keep selecting till you get a perfect blend. Now, last thing I want to show you is if you want to take out acne on a face, you can basically use the spot healing brush, and basically you are just going to almost like do a little trace like that, and it will basically begin to take off any acne, you know, as long as you're drawing over those areas. It basically removes it for you, and it leaves a smooth skin. So you can take your time and basically get rid of any acne that you see on the face of your subject. We can make our brush head smaller and just touch on the acne right there. You can also use your patch tool if you want to even smoothen it more. So you can make a selection, move it into this area, and you notice that it basically replaces it in a way that it doesn't change the skin. So guys, this brings us to the end of the Photoshop Beginner Tutorial Part 2. I hope that all of these techniques are going to help you to advance in your learning of Photoshop. So guys, till next time, please be safe, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye y'all.